Knon 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people. Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to knon.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.
We'd like to say good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Church Information and Open Forum. I'm Marion Barnett, your host. Each and every Saturday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on KNON 89.3 FM, the voice of the people. Got a lot of things to talk about, and y'all know it's so much going on. But you can get your line at 972-647-1893. You can get your line now. And but let me make a couple of announcements. The Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated Dallas Alumni Chapter presents My Silent Tears Domestic Violence Summit. This is October 25th, 2014 at 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. To register, please visit www.dallasalumni.org. Registration deadline is October 16th, all righty? And the partnership with Cedar Crest Church of Christ is located at 2134 Cedar Crest Boulevard here in Dallas. So this is a big domestic violence, something that's going on in our community. And the Deltas, the alumni chapter, they're holding this. This is October 25th now, starting at 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. We might try to get them on there and have whet your appetite here on the program with that. That's going to seem to be something very revival in our community. And anytime you have something like this, you make sure y'all get that announcement to me, mail it out. And it's going to be at the Cedar Crest Church of Christ, and that's located at 2134 Cedar Crest Boulevard, right here in the city of Dallas. That's from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. All righty. Also, we have here Brother Greg A. Smith celebrates his 22nd anniversary right here on KNON. This is going to be Saturday, October 11th, at Poor Davis Pub, 1313, can't talk this morning, 1313, South Lamar. Okay, the musician guests will be Zach Harmony, Ernie Johnson, Larry Lampkin, Odell Gray, Tam Danzel, Greg A. Smith, and the Blues Revenue Band, and more, hosted by KNON's DJs, free buffet by Elaine Kitchen. All righty. And then secondly, on the second night, that's the 12th of October, at the Blues Palace at 3100 Grand. Now, the second night is going to be at the Blues Palace. All right, they're over there on Grand. And their musical guest is going to be Lucky and Tamara Peterson, Carl Marshall, Ricky White, Alonzo Reed, James Butler, Cookie McGee, Cool Ricky Blues, Charlie Robinson, Little Jimmy, Miss Peaches, Joe Moore, Big Charles Young, R.L. Griffin, and the Blues Palace Show Band. And there's going to be a free buffet over there. It's going to be, I guess, Boss Hog is going to cater it, and the doors open at 6 p.m. And each night, the shows. Tickets available at KNON.org, the Blues Palace, Elaine's Kitchen, Bill Records, Forever Young Records, and Cleaners in Fort Worth. For VIP reservations, call them at 469-471-4180. This is Greg A. Smith's 22nd anniversary here, right here on The Voice of the People. And this is an event for The Voice of the People. So all the listeners, all of you who enjoy blues, come out, and you have 2 nights. You can go down to Poor Davis Pub down on Lamar, 1313 Lamar, and you can go over there on Grand, and R.L.'s Blues Palace have you 2 nights, and these are most of every accomplished blues artist in the area is on these one of these 2 nights. So everybody go out and have yourself a good time if you like the blues. All righty. Got so much to talk about, so much going on, but we got some announcements to get in. Casey, we'll come to you in just a second. Let me look at, I had some other stuff that I want to read to you. I'll read that to you later. Coming up at 8 o'clock, you stay tuned. Make sure you stay tuned. Will be Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson, 30th District in the United States Congress. She's got a lot of information, a lot of things to direct us with, and a lot of things to talk about. So in 8 o'clock hour, starting at 8 o'clock, Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson will be your special guest. All right, but bring on Casey now. I think Casey got some announcements. Good morning, Casey.
Good morning, Pastor Barnett. How you doing?
Fine. How you doing this morning?
Doing excellent. I want to just call in and kind of follow up on what we talked about last week, and I apologize. I've been a little busy, as you already know, so I didn't get a chance to give you a call, but I would definitely do that sometime later today. I can give you a little bit more information about this Freedom Sunday, what I was telling you about. Mm-hmm. And see how your church can get involved. Also, they're having pastors to record video messages about the importance of voting. Something you're very passionate about. And so I can get with you and see how we can get you set up to do that as well.
Okay.
But what I wanted to talk about this morning is along the same lines is We Vote, which is a local effort to get the vote out in November. And what we come up with, as far as We Vote, is an initiative called Ride with Five. Ride with Five is an initiative that was started by this nonpartisan civic engagement group out of Washington, D.C., called People for the American Way. And one of the young men who kind of spearheaded that, his name is Andrew Gillum. He was a student at FAMU. He is now mayor-elect, if I'm not incorrect, of Jacksonville, Florida. And what a Ride with Five is, it is a pledge card where you as an individual get 5 people. You write down the name of 5 people who commit to go and vote on election day. And what you do is you send a pledge card in, and what they do is they have a database with everybody in it. And so what they do is they send a reminder texts and emails and things about the upcoming election, when early voting is, and things of that nature, to get them to go out and vote. The reason I think all this is timely is the ruling that just came down the other day by the federal judge, if I'm not incorrect, it may have been Thursday, saying that the voter ID law for Texas is unconstitutional.
But we also must remember, in that same vein, immediately the next day, the gentleman that's running for governor on the Republican ticket, who's our Attorney General right now, Mr. Abbott, filed to have that taken to a high court and overruled. Let us remember that, people. Those of you who were around when we had poll taxes here in the state of Texas, they were very expensive. They cost $1.75. Okay, y'all just fall out laughing over that. But back in the 50s and 60s, well, it ended in 61. Back in the 50s and 40s, that was a whole lot of money. That was a whole lot of money just to vote. And people, I remember my people, they would strain up and pay that poll tax and go to the polls and vote. Well, they put a different type of poll tax on us. They're blocking us in different ways. You know, the taxes have changed, but it's the same game. So it's very important. All right, go ahead, Casey.
Oh, no problem. No problem at all, man. That's good information. You know, and at the same time, we want to, like you say, be mindful of the fact that the Attorney General has intent to file, you know, a suit against that. Now, you got a small window because I can't see the early voting beginning and them going through early voting. If he doesn't have this done by Monday, it's going to be a real difficult thing for them to say, okay, a weekend of early voting, this injunction has been filed, and the Court of Appeals is going to put a hold on this. So I think he's got a very tight window to get this done. So, you know, while we celebrate the victory now, we also want to be cautious,
right,
to be mindful that we need to make sure that in the event that this the Court of Appeals does approve this, accept this lawsuit that's being filed on behalf of the state of Texas by the current Attorney General, that we need to be prepared either way. We go vote early, we avoid a lot of issues that's going to impact us on Election Day. As the Political Action Chair of the NAACP, our plan is for Election Day to have a command center with a phone number, and I'll get that to you within the next couple of weeks.
Okay, so let me ask you something about absentee voting.
Right.
Mail-in ballot. Well, if you don't have an ID, can't you mail the ballot in?
Absolutely. You can definitely do that. If you're
Those who don't have IDs, mail it in. That way you can vote and don't have to go to the polls and show it.
Right. Now you're aware there are certain stipulations in order to be eligible to do that. One, you have to be over 65 years old.
Yeah.
Two, you have to be either disabled, or three, if you're going to be out of the county during the time of the election.
Well, those in Tarrant come over to Dallas, and those in Dallas go to Tarrant County.
Well, that would work.
See, look, who is the biggest voting bloc we have? People over 65.
Right.
The older we are, the more we vote.
I agree with that. And there needs to be a voter education process that's done for our seniors or those who qualify, who on how that process works. Because many of them will probably take advantage of it over the next maybe, let's say, 3-4 months. We're going to look at a window of opportunity where we can do that. It's just a matter of identifying places. Maybe you can help me with that. Identify a location where we can actually go in. I give you a perfect example. There's an apartment complex. I'm sure you're pretty aware of it, Primrose at the Potter's House, right there by Hampton, Illinois.
Right.
But they're having a health fair, and the Dallas County Election Department is going to come out, have a table at their health fair, and they're going to do just that. They're going to verify their ID. They're going to explain to them how vote by mail or absentee voting works.
Right.
And so if they choose to, they will be able to take advantage of that. And that's what's got to take place more and more and more. Voter education. Voter registration is fine. It's great. It's a way of getting the new voters excited.
Right.
But the key is voter education, because if it's like giving somebody a gun and not training them on how to use it properly.
You know, we've used a term that I don't like too many times over the years, that the people meant well and they thought it was right. But I don't like the term off-year elections. Anytime there's an election, that's not an off-year. I don't care. I know the president runs every 4 years, but anytime we have an election, have an opportunity to elect those people that's closest to us, you know, and these are the people that affect us the most. There's no such thing as an off-the-year election. Every year is an on year when we are voting. So we do need to get. Will this affect souls to the polls?
What part?
Okay, souls to the polls is when the churches have that Sunday. Do we still have that in Texas? I know a federal court ruled it out in Ohio, Florida, and different
I heard about that. I'm looking to find out more information. But that's what Freedom Sunday here in Texas. Well, actually all over the country. When you get Congresswoman Johnson on the phone,
don't worry, I'm going to ask her.
Yeah, she's going to be very.
I'm going to ask her a whole lot of stuff. Y'all make sure you stay tuned. And if you have questions to ask her, you can call in and ask her.
I just plan on calling back in.
Yeah, and so we want to. She'll give us a wealth of information on all of this, where we can make sure. This is a very important election coming up.
Oh, it's essential. It's essential.
So
absolutely.
So any more information? Are you still having the Monday night forum?
Well, we are not doing Monday Night Politics currently. What happened is we had several. We had two, actually, to be honest. We had two after the primary to address the county judge election and the DA election. Those were two main ones that we had. We had Steve Brown who is the only African-American statewide candidate who's running on the Democratic ticket. And then,
he's running for railroad commissioner, right?
Exactly, running for railroad
which is probably the most powerful, or second most powerful position in the state of Texas.
Right. And
they regulate oil and gas.
Exactly, and that's what we asked him about, because I moderated that forum specifically, the commission, and the fact that they don't do anything with railroads. It's about oil and gas, and that's, if you want to call it smoke and mirror, whatever you want to call it. You know, that's huge when you talk about the state of Texas, how Texas became, you know, this financial juggernaut that it has become. Oil, gas, cotton, things of that nature, you know, when you look at the history of it. So, you know, but yes, we have 2 forums on those things, but we will be having several other forums. One, we're going to start back our community conversations. This one, the first one we're going to have before the end of the year, is going to be on the value of the black press and the black media, you know, the importance of the black press and the relevance. So we definitely want you to be on that panel. I'll get you the date, because at this day and time, when we have all forms of press, the black press will cover things in a way in which no one else will cover it, and then it also cover things nobody else will cover. But then also, we're going to do this every 2 years. We have what's on the upcoming agenda, where we invite our state representatives and our state senator to come and talk to us about the upcoming legislative agenda. That'll probably be the second Monday in December. But I'll get you
make sure you get me all that information, because we want to get it out to the general public, because people, we want to take away the such thing as, if there is an excuse that they didn't know, we're going to do everything we possibly can to get the message out to everybody.
Absolutely.
All righty then. Thank you, Casey.
Thank you. My pleasure. I'll call back in when Congresswoman Johnson comes on.
All right. If you can get in, call in. All right. All right, 972-647-1893 is the number to call. There's a lot of things going on. The Ebola thing, yes, it's important. It's very important. But let us not go for the ghost. We have a very important election coming up November 4th. The Ebola crisis, it'll take care of itself. You can rest assured of that. It will. Now, there are certain situations that we have to look at, and certain situations we have to talk about. But yes, we do have to address the issue. Are they demonizing people? Are they trying to demonize people and ostracize them out of our American society, which America is good at? We have to look at all of that, and we're going to talk about some of that also. But we're also going to keep on your line November 4th, Election Day 2014. I'm up against a short break, and y'all can call me now at 972-647-1893, and I'll be right back. Right, we're back on Church Information and Open Forum. I'm Marion Barnett, your host. And we got another announcement. We want to get y'all the announcements in, because we want to get rolling. We're going to talk about, we're going to talk about the case with this Ebola thing. We're going to talk about it some more. But we definitely want to keep on your mind things that are going on in our community. Right now, we have a young man that's standing by. He has announcing about something that's very important, family violence. All righty, would you bring him on? Good morning, sir.
Good morning. This is Henry Atkins with the Cedar Crest Church of Christ over in East Oak Cliff.
All righty, in the Cedar Crest area.
In the Cedar Crest area, right down from the Cedar Crest Golf Course.
All righty. What do y'all have going on?
We're having a domestic violence awareness summit on Saturday, October the 25th. We'll start at 9 o'clock in the morning. We will go until people leave. We will have a panel of experts that will be there talking about this epidemic that's rampant within our community and in our society. This is sponsored by the Cedar Crest Church and the young ladies of the Delta Sigma Theta sorority. These young ladies are really working hard to get the word out and to make this awareness available to any and all of our members in our society of the black community. We have something within our churches that we're calling the Holy Hush. And the people that are going through this, they are suffering in silence. They won't talk about it. So we're going to have people there that will talk about these different problems that we have, because it affects all of us. The person that's being victimized, the children in that family, the person that's doing the domestic violence, he's probably or she's probably going through something in her lifetime. Let's talk about the causes and let's talk about the problem. But more than that, we want to talk about solutions and what we can do to change that paradigm. One of the major things that's happening is that many ministers, and I'm a minister of family and marriage enrichment there at the Cedar Crest Church, and many ministers are not trained in this area of counseling. So they will say, let's pray about it. Let's do all we can to hope that he will get better. And we leave those persons that are being victimized, the victims, they go right back to that same situation. We have several situations in the city of Dallas, DeSoto, Mesquite, where a victimizer has killed a person because no one was there to help that person to find a shelter to protect them. We want to show that there are places where people can be protected. We will have the director of the Genesis Women's Shelter there. We will have probation officers. We will have attorneys from the district attorney's office that specialize in domestic violence and the protection of primarily women, but men are victimized also, but primarily women. We want to show that there is a way out of these situations. And that's what's on the agenda.
I tell you what, Minister, let me get with you, and I'll give you all an hour on radio between now and the 25th. That's the 25th, right? What's that, 2 weeks?
Right.
2 weeks from today?
Yeah, 2 weeks from today.
Probably next Saturday. Next Saturday. If you can get some of those deltas to come on, and whoever y'all have, come in the let's come in the 7 o'clock hour on next Saturday. I'd like to have y'all on. This is very important. It's going on. I don't know if it's any more than it ever has been. It's just been exposed, but we'll find out from the experts on what's really going on and why is this happening. So on next Saturday, get me some of your panelists to come on, and we'll talk about it. I'll give you an hour on radio.
Sounds wonderful.
Okay.
Sounds wonderful. I really appreciate that, and we will do it. And I will get back with you. I'll let you know who's coming, but stand assured that we will be there.
Okay. Hope to see you. Okay.
Thank you, my brother.
All right. Thank you, brother.
I enjoy the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. 972-647-1893. 972-647-1893. Who we have on line for?
She wants to wait until Miss Johnson comes up.
No. Miss Johnson won't be here till 8 o'clock. We can. Yeah, we just can't hold up a line for the next 30 or 40 minutes. And you're welcome to call when that starts. But we need those lines. We need those lines. The lines are filling up now. And please, you're welcome to call. You're welcome to call when Congresswoman Johnson gets on the air. And yes, thank you so graciously for freeing up that line. So some of our other callers who want to talk in this segment, and we'll get those. All right, he's getting those things out. The lines are filled up, and we want to hear what y'all have to say. 972-647-1893. 972-647-1893 is the number to call. All righty. Okay. Let's go with line one and hear what Reverend Ron Wright has to say this morning. All right. Good morning, preacher.
Good morning, Pastor. How you doing this morning?
Fine. You doing all right this morning?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful in the land of the living.
I call it the land of the dying.
There you go. Land of the dying. That's exactly right.
We're going to the land of the living.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You got a great show. I know you got some great shows, so I'm trying to run through what we got going on. First of all, this domestic violence thing, and you made a point just then of we're being aware of this and how long this has been going on. Pastor, I believe this is a part of we reaping what we sow, because last week you had a young minister come on and talk about, we've been saying now about the genocidal attack on the black man, and a lot of this as it relates to black folks is these young boys were never raised with a father. They don't know how to respect the mother.
Right.
And so this is a part of that same man that told them to get rid of the man. They didn't realize that they were going to have boys just as well as girls, and it takes a man to raise a man. So we support the family violence thing, but the pastors and all of them need to know that this is all the result of destroying the black family, and all of us that were raised up with a mother and father know that.
Right.
We know that you know that you just didn't put your hands on it. So I'm gonna skip from that. Second thing is this Ebola that's going on. Pastor, I don't care what nobody says in this country, regardless of you black. I don't care where you from. When you come to this country, the lies that they tell you about the black Americans that live in this country, eventually you will be treated the same way, and you're going to find out that it's all a lie and a trick to turn you against the African American community. Now,
preacher, I'm glad you went in that direction. Let me say something. Let me get it off my chest. I know I'm fixing to make half the people out there angry with me, but I got to get it off my chest. Look, I've been around the African. When I was at Southwestern, Africans used to come in. The missionaries would bring them in, and they would come to go to school, come to seminary. All right. When the African would first get there, they would not have anything to do with we African Americans. Now, not all Africans are like this. They had a vicious dislike for us. Vicious.
right.
And we'd have nothing. But after they'd been here for about 2 or 3 months or so, they had been mistaken for African Americans enough and found out the real truth about America. They came here with the attitude that reason why we held no status in America because we were lazy and trifling, wouldn't work and everything. And they actually believe this because they were been told this, taught in their own country by white missionaries that this is why we hold no status in this country.
From Africans to Koreans to every
group that come in here is brainwashed.
Brainwashed that black folk are lazy. They don't want to do nothing. Even by the sad part is even to our president, who was not raised up in a black community or raised up like an African American, realize at the end of the day, it don't matter who you are. At the end of the day, these folks will still consider you what they consider you. And so now he's seeing. Because he's the president, it doesn't matter because they still see him as a lazy black man who don't care about nobody. It's a verbal attack on us as African Americans.
Yeah. And then see what I heard, though, all week I've been hearing, why did Jesse Jackson come to town? Why did Jesse Jackson come to town? Well, let's look at it in a broader sense. These people that was affected by this were going to, Wilshire Baptist Church.
Right.
Which is basically a predominantly white church, right?
Correct.
They wanted exposure. They wanted people to come close to them and everything. They wanted somebody to go out and to the hospital and pray and everything. But they did not go to a black church.
What?
They went to a white church. They were probably paying their tithes at a white church. But all of a sudden, a tragedy happened. And you need somebody look like you that's going to stand with you. And now you can choose any church you want, but people, you better think about it. If when everything is roses nice, the black church is not good enough for you. But when tragedy comes, you come running to us.
You want to run to us. Why didn't the pastor show up at that rally? Why didn't he step up and say, wait a minute, why was he treated differently with medication-wise as the gentleman in
why was he not admitted on the 24th? I think, didn't we pull that up last week? He first went on the 24th.
Right. You're right.
Got here on the
why
20th.
Wasn't he admitted?
Yeah, why wasn't they said he was vomiting and had a extreme 103. That's pretty hot. Why was he not admitted?
Yeah.
Now, and see, people, we people of the African continent, we need to come together all over the world. I don't care where you live. You're still from Africa.
When you get it, you're going to realize that
eventually it's going to come, something's going to happen to drive you to it. But I know a lot of people are upset about that, but we love to, when things are going one way, we love to run to other people. But when trouble comes, you always run back home.
Run back home.
Yeah.
Okay, Pastor. Okay, that's cute. They're going to kill us. I mean, they mad at us. Okay, next thing, Dallas County.
Yeah.
Dallas County, who's also involved in the vote thing. For a couple of months back, we filed a racial discrimination charge against Dallas County on 3 African-American men. 3 weeks ago, last week or so, they had a mediation, and the group of 4 had a meeting man downtown who offered them $30,000, which was an insult to the African-American community. And we just got up and walked up out of there. But that's sad that somebody that looked like us would come to a mediation looking like
with
that.
With a disgraceful amount like that.
And offer pennies as if, well, they're just going to take money, and they don't take any money and go on about their business. But the abuse that went on, we had them on the show there, Pastor, and it was in all the evidence showed pictures, and there's been press officers going on how discriminating North County was, and now their man downtown never done one thing to support them. And while we were there, they told it. They said, we had asked you, Commissioner Price, to help us, and he never said a word.
Now, did they come back with another offer?
We came back with an offer, yeah, but we're going to protest on the following Tuesdays, the next couple of Tuesdays. We're going to do a major protest to let Dallas County know. We worry about everybody but what's going on at home when it comes to everything is more important than us. And those people at the end of the day, I guarantee you, this man is going to be crying for the African-American people to help him when they reached out to him and he's offered no help.
All right, and we let the world know what's going on. People do a lot of talking, a lot of rhetoric, but when they really come down to what you're going to do to help your people, then they duck and run the other way because they've been in bed with other people. All right.
That's one question you can ask Curtis one. I know I won't be able to get back in. What is it going to do to take us to train somebody to pass the baton on? Because we know eventually Congresswoman Liberty Johnson is going to be gone. Who's going to take her place?
Well,
we're going to start not just with her, but on Royce West and all of them. We're going to start over from ground zero, go back 40 years and get where we got to. What are we doing to train somebody to pass the baton to?
Well, you know what? That's one of the few things that in this world seem to puzzle me. I'm going to tell you why. When all of us came along in the 50s, 60s, 70s, we had leaders out there.
Right.
But we didn't ask nobody to bring us on a mineral. We just did things. I don't know. I just got out there. I didn't care what. And now we had older people and everything. Young man, you need to slow down. You need to understand what's going on. Hey, I just went on out there. If I saw wrong, I challenged it.
Exactly.
So, one thing is our generation fumbled the ball. We did not teach our children about the realities of life, the realities of living in America. We didn't teach them that. So, many of them are just laissez-faire, just lethargically apathetic and really think everything is all right. That's our fault. Now, that's where we taught them, and we need to get busy now. And I think God is teaching us some lessons now.
Absolutely.
Since we didn't do it, God is going to teach them because, hey, the life of a young black man or of a black man don't mean nothing in America anymore. You shut down like a dog, and all they got to do is say, I was scared, and you go free. So God is teaching now since we didn't do it. And when he teaches, he really teaches.
Well, we're going to put us back together, Pastor, let them know that we're going to stop voting for black folks just because you black. You're going to need to be held accountable. And if you ain't done things in the past, what makes you think you're going to do something in the future?
All right.
God bless you. I'll talk to you a little bit later on.
I hear you.
All right.
Okay, those of you who are hanging on my line, I'm sorry. I'm going to come to you. I'm taking calls, but I need you to talk with Reverend Wright and the young man, Mr. Henry Atkins. He has a great program. I want to talk to him. But we're going to take your calls. And as soon as we get back after this short break, I'm coming to our line, and we'll have one line to release now, 972-647-1893, and we'll be right back. All right, we're back on Church Information and Open Forum. I'm Marion Barnett, your host. Joe is producing, and we're going to take you in the order which I have you on the board. Let's go to line 2 and say good morning. Is this the Root Doctor?
Roots Doctor.
The Roots Doctor.
Yes.
All right, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Pastor, and good morning to that brother, Pastor Wright. That Ronald Wright is a fighter. He's a warrior like you are, both of y'all, man. So I really appreciate him, and thanks to him, I don't have as much to actually say or as many questions to ask.
Well, you never know. See, you start talking, something might come to your mind that you hadn't thought about.
I mean, but that brother really set the stage. I mean, I think I know you'll have to agree. That he really got down beneath to the quick of really what Africans in America and particularly Africans here in Dallas County ought to be focusing on. And here's where I'm going with this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have great respect for you and him. Number one is my physical elders, and in his case, I think he and I are about the same age. But both of y'all,
you're saying I'm old, huh? All right, I got you.
You're my elder.
I get your drift. Okay.
I privately, and I've told you before.
Uh-huh.
Coming from a little funky town called Arkansas, and then having to see some warriors like you all here, that was kind of almost unheard of. But I was just saying that I like what Casey, he said he's going to respond, so I know he's listening to us. And this is the thing that we always wonder, is that, you and I both know that the electoral process, electoral politics, was never really created, for African people in this country. That's
right.
Number one. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
The NAACP, irrespective of the fact we know it's a white organization, it was created by white folks and is strictly, still programmed and funded by particularly, white people. And what I'm saying is, somebody is intellectually inclined and is adept and as knowledgeable as Casey and other African brothers and sisters. I love Dr. Wallace. The question we have as African men, who are out here, in terms in the streets and trying to actually get things done that affect us on a day-to-day basis, where we can touch people. Because you can't touch Tennille Atkins. You can't touch Carolyn Davis all the time. You sure can't touch, Dwayne Caraway because he's too busy running. But here's my point. We talk about voting as if voting is something that is proven to provide us with something on a national scale or a statewide scale. You and I know that our population is 12% max. That's including all our African brothers and sisters that are incarcerated on paper. Mm-hmm. I'm saying, that the only time, and I know you know this, and I know Casey knows this, my question is, why do we keep, engaging in intellectual masturbation for our people? The only time African people have any kind of benefit and can get any benefit is when they are more than 50% of the voting population, the voting electorate. Now, in a situation like where we have our brother, Craig Watkins, who has shown us that he is our man downtown, he is our man in the state. He's shown the world how viciously racist and how viciously hateful and how intent white folks are on trying to kill and incarcerate and exterminate African men. And it don't matter, what the world knows. He's shown us that. Now, a situation like him, that man, we ought to be behind him and him alone. Every other colored Negro, and certainly every other racist, European or whatever, that's in the race ought to not even get even a whisper, period, from us. I'm wondering why is it we would even use our time and energy and effort to tell people go out and vote when we ain't even got no particular plan, because you don't just go and vote. That's wasting it. What you all did for us, Brother Barnett, and our elders and ancestors, that's wasting it. You don't need to be just voting just to vote. You don't have to vote just because you go to the poll. Why don't we get behind the only brother or the only other African? There may be some other Africans locally that really, prove to us that they're there for us and that they fight for us. That man needs our support. He needs to be who we're focusing on, not just somebody getting out to vote and register. Now, I'm an election judge. I'm an election judge. Mm-hmm. And here's the deal we're saying is that we know for a fact, that this racist demon that, tried his best, to get the majority of persons of Mexican and African descent not to be able to vote. We know what his intent is.
Right.
He got caught with his hand in a cookie jar. Mm-hmm. Now, it ain't going to be no time. Casey can say what he want to say. It ain't going to be no time for the State Department of Elections, the County Department of Elections, to get all of their information and materials ready for early elections. It's a done deal, and that is a victory we can celebrate. But here's what I'm saying. Don't be folks, just voting. Now, secondly and finally, let's stop calling this distraction of Ebola a crisis, Pastor Barnett. It ain't a crisis. It ain't a pandemic. It ain't even an epidemic. In Sierra Leone, in Guinea, and in Liberia, those are the three main countries that contain 374 million African people. 374. All that the white media has stated they have infection is 7,000. Well, you do the math, doctor. You do the math.
Well, we have far more people to die here with the flu.
It's called distraction.
Well, that's what I said coming on. Watch the distractions.
Yes,
we had one proven case here in America. The man came, and I can't prove it. Let me say this. Now, I can't prove this, but I do believe, I can have my own beliefs, that this man died because he was black.
Exactly.
Anytime you come into a hospital, and your temperature is what, 103?
Yes, sir. 109.
And you having all kind of stomach pains and everything, and they just give you some antibiotics and send you on your way. I do believe, because he was black, uninsured. I believe this. This is why they sent him away. Now, Presbyterian going to have to. We need to stay on top of this as African people.
Yes, sir. Right.
See, the problem is, we got too many people in our community, too many from Africa, from the motherland, that has come in this generation, and too many who came from generations in the past, don't want to recognize we are all the same.
That's right.
We are all treated the same.
That's right.
I don't care where you are, in China, or South America, in the Caribbeans, or wherever you are, Europe, wherever the black man is, he's that. He's the black man. And until we get to the point that we're going to recognize that we'll never be free until we come together and get our stuff together, nothing's going to happen. And I thank you, brother. You had a lot of good information. I enjoyed your call.
Thank you, brother.
All right. Thank you. 972-647-1893. 972-647-1893. Let's go to, is that Leon on line 3? All righty. Good morning, Leon.
Good morning, Reverend Barnett.
Fine. How are you this morning?
Well, I'm doing what I can do with whatever I have to do it with. So.
All right. Well, hey, guess who gave you that?
Well.
So if he gave it to you, it's something to work with, right?
I'm going to do what I can.
If God gave it to you, you got something to work with. It might be far better than you think. Robert Petrie and I talk all the time. This man went into business with $300. He owns a car dealership, and he owns one of the largest urban ranches anywhere in America. Started with $300. So if God gave it to you, you take it and work with it, all right?
All right, I'll do that.
Okay, then. All right. Yeah, what's on your mind?
Now, I wanted to mention a couple of things. First of all, on that domestic violence. Mm-hmm. Maybe some things that people are not aware of, the facts concerning, in particular, Ray Rice. When you go out and spend $25,000 of my money, I might have some questions as to what did you spend $25,000 on? Mm-hmm. So you can't get mad when I ask you and then spit on me and then charge at me and, expect me to say, like, everybody's not like Jay-Z.
Well, you see, but the thing about it, the media is not going to tell you the whole story.
Oh.
They're there to demonize that black male. Okay?
Okay.
Black women, I hate to tell you, I'm supposed to make you all mad again this morning. The white man ain't scared of you. He props you up because, give you a little position, and you're satisfied. He know if he make you vice president, that's as far as you want to go. in most cases. You're not going to fight, and if you fight, there's nothing you can do. But if you make the black male the vice president, you know that black male want to be president. So you have to understand, stop being used. Those of you, not all of you, not nearly all of you, but there are too many that get positions, and then the first thing you do is want to turn on the black male. Hello. Now go right ahead, young man.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
If your spouse doesn't want to cooperate,
mm-hmm.
and he does, you feel like you can't persuade him to do something that you want him to do,
mm-hmm.
just leave. Don't assault him, and because all men don't react the same way to being kicked and spit on
mm-hmm.
and cursed at and poked in the face and say, if you touch me, I'll call the police. So I just wanted to get that out there.
Yeah, well, we can't never justify him beating her, but tell the whole story. Tell the whole story. She spent a lot of his money and couldn't explain where that money went, and then she charged him. You look at the video on the elevator and spat on him.
Right.
Yeah, she did this, and he knocked the code. We can't justify him doing that, but at least they could tell the whole story. I'm still thinking that he's wrong, but just because a man make one mistake, you're going to take away his life? You're not helping that woman by kicking him off the team and taking away those checks. You hurting her now, and women jumping up talking about they helping her. No, they're not helping her now. Not now, because you're taking away her lifestyle. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. All right. 972-647-1893. 972-647-1893. Now let's take a chance. Let's go to a woman right now. We might get talked about real bad. Let's go to line 2. Yeah. Good morning, Rosalind.
Good morning, Reverend Barnett.
How are you this morning?
I'm blessed and highly favored. It is a pleasure. I've been tuning in with you the past 2 Saturdays, and I truly believe that I have been led by the Spirit to tune in with you.
Oh, thank you.
I would like to touch briefly on domestic violence because I am a woman who have been an abused woman
mm-hmm.
in the past.
Oh.
But I had to learn to break that cycle because that is what I grew up seeing. And my mother would say, well, why are you putting up with this? Why are you tolerating this? And the only response that I had was, Mama, I saw you doing it until you couldn't take it anymore. But to elaborate on our NFL player, I truly believe that his career should have been taken away from him. But today's secret evil hides in all cultures all over the world.
That's right.
And I would just like to just make aware that through each instance of domestic violence is unique. And there's one common denominator that exists within the heart of every person. There are 3 God-given inner needs, and that's love, significance, and security. And at times, we attempt to get these needs met illegitimately, as in the case of the couples who experience this destructive dynamic of domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
And there are 3 stages. The number 1 stage is the agitated stage. Number 2 is the acute stage.
Mm-hmm.
And number 3 is the apologetic stage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, the abuser attacked his victim to feel significant. The abused stays in the harmful relationship to feel secure, and she feels that she can't live without the partner, or she's terrified that the violence will escalate if she leaves him. Now, I was the man's hand was on my esophagus in my sleep. I was awakened, and I could see nothing but darkness. I saw death. And I tried to kick things off of the bed to where it would awake my kids to let them know to please get help. And God woke my daughter up and said, please stop. Please don't kill my mommy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, today, 25 years later,
mm-hmm.
I will not tolerate that
mm-hmm.
because God has given me the spirit to say, hey, I love you, my child. You are good enough. You are beautiful. You may have a ready-made family, but there is no man that can ever degrade me to this day to make me feel that I am less than. God values me. God loves me. And there's no man that can compare to the love of God. We, as men and women, need to love ourselves and to ask God to show us how to love ourselves once again, to know that we are valuable and worthy to receive God's love, his abundant love that he has for each and every one of us.
I agree with you 100%. That's beautiful.
Amen.
That's beautiful.
Amen. Oh, my God.
Beautiful.
So we have to break that cycle. We have to break that cycle. And we have to realize that these people that are harming us have been harmed. So we got to do, we want to jump into these ready-made relationships and quickly get on somebody's arm and say, oh, I got a man. What? We have to do an inventory, a self-inventory, and to inventory that makes the significant others past as well.
But let me ask you something, Rosalind. Do you think it's what the two bring to the table causes a lot of conflicts?
Exactly. We have to be able to resolve conflicts in a civilized and godly manner. If you see to where this guy is blowing up on an instant, or this woman is just so hellacious, step back. It's okay to step back and get with God. Know how God wants us to be loved. Knowing how God loves us determines on who we want to love. Yeah. And who is worthy to love us, or who is worthy for us to give and pour our love into. Right. Amen.
All right. I thank you for your call. Good call.
Amen.
All right.
And I can't wait to meet you one day.
All right.
And I love what you're doing, and I love Knon.
Oh, thank you. Amen. Voice of the people. All righty. Okay. 972-647-1893. 972-647-1893. Let's go to line 4 and say good morning to Tony. All right.
Good morning, Rick. How you doing?
Good morning, Tony. How are you?
All right. I want to talk about, the next crop of political people. I already think they're here. I think you got the mayor of Lancaster, DeSoto, some people on the DeSoto City Council, and some of the people on the school board. I think that they're picking low-hanging fruit. You got some young people out here who are putting themselves in position to be elected. So either the problem is they're not being servants of the community per se, where we can see them out there. And the reality is this: they don't come out the woodwork once the Sweaters leave. I mean, Eddie Benny's. To me, Eric Johnson is the next progression to that position, at Benny Johnson, because he's made legislator, so he should be the heir apparent to it.
You think Eric Johnson would be? Well, Eddie hadn't said when she's going to leave, so we don't. But whenever she do, Eric Johnson, you think would be a heir apparent to that congressional seat?
I think so, and like
grew up in West Dallas.
Yeah,
Harvard graduate.
All that.
All of that. Odds against him, and he has prevailed. Well, you got it.
I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not saying he's. I'm just throwing it out there. I think that because he has experience, rather than a lot of these people who are going to come in who say they got experience and don't have no state experience. I think Dwayne Caraway is going to run for commissioner of Dallas. I just, he ain't said that, but everything to me reads that's his next progression. I mean, so the roots are already here. It's just they need to come out and let us know rather than hold their cards to the chest. How do you with that? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tony. 972-647-1893. Let's try to get James in. Line 1. All righty. Good morning, James.
Yes, good morning, Reverend Barnett. I appreciate everything been already said and done. Thank you. Yes, a couple of things I want to say right quick. on the Greg Albert ad that he ran as he's promoting himself, I looked on there, and it was in the backdrop is a bunch of Hispanic kids. I didn't really see much of any black faces unless I'm colorblind or the ad was moving too fast for me. But maybe somebody needs to pay closer attention to that ad and see what's happening with that. But it looked like he's promoting what Richard Pryor calls some new Negroes, and Richard Pryor joked about it, but he said another word rather than he said the N word, but look like they're promoting them to push them, and it's happening locally down here in Palestine, the same type stuff.
Right. All right, I tell you what.
The Democrats to remember that.
Oh.
Yes, I'd like for the Democrats to remember this poll tax in general, Attorney General, what he's doing, and if everybody to get out and vote and get Greg Abbott out of there. He's challenged himself in a wheelchair and know how difficult it is to get around, and he wants to do people like that to keep them from voting, which voting is the necessity of life like water.
All righty.
Reverend Barnett, one other thing before you go to break.
I'm up against it right now.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. 972-647-1893. We'll be coming back with Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson, and we'll be right back. All right. We're ready for hour number 2 of Church Information and Open Forum. I'm Marion Barnett, your host. Joe is producing, and we have with us, if you would bring the Congresswoman on, and we have with us the United States Congresswoman from District 30 here, serving much of Dallas area. We'd like to say good morning to Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson. Good morning, Congresswoman.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
I'm fine this morning. I hope you are.
No, I'm doing great. You know, Congresswoman, for a few times in my life, it's so much going on. I don't even know where to start now. I want you, let you start this conversation from right here locally in Dallas all the way around the world to ISIL and everything else. Things are going on, and you as a congressperson, federal, you have to deal with all of it. Where do you want to go with this conversation this morning? I'm going to ask you.
Well, the most important thing that we're facing is an election that's coming up next month, with early voting began this month. And it is not a presidential year, and there is fear that many citizens will not get out to vote. And so I think that it's important to remind them that it's a very, very important election that's coming up.
Are you afraid that what might happen in 14 might repeat what happened in 10? Could that be? Could that people just say, well, we have Barack Obama as president, and we don't need to go to the polls? How important is it for us to get out here in 14 and vote?
It is extremely important, because our president cannot be successful unless he has people that will work with him. And, of course, in 2010, we got an avalanche of people who did not intend to work with him, have not worked with him, and seemingly every move they make is to try to defeat whatever he wants.
Go right ahead.
We have an opportunity to change it this year if we get out and vote in large numbers.
How tough is it to have to be working with other members of Congress that you know have locked arms and they're walking together to go against anything that this president might propose? How tough is that?
It's very difficult, because what you know when that happens is that what you stand for and what you'd like to see is just not going to happen as long as you are in a minority. And that election made sure that we are in a minority, we remained in a minority, and we're moving backwards in terms of individual rights and opportunities.
Well, what do you think of the judge's ruling? Where was that, down somewhere in McAllen or Corpus Christi somewhere? This federal judge ruled.
I thought that was a great ruling, to rule against this new voter ID, which is designed to keep minorities from voting all over the country, where they have put it in place. It came out of a national movement to prevent minorities from voting as much as possible. And if they're successful, our voices will be left out, no matter what. Because you can talk all you want to, but what counts are votes. And in the Congress where I am, it's majority that prevails. And if we are in a minority and don't have enough votes, we certainly cannot do the things we'd like to do and achieve the things we'd like to achieve for all the people.
Has it been a breath of fresh air to have another Democrat there from the North Texas area serving in Congress with you, because you were in the midst of, oh my God, a lot of right-wing conservative Republicans. How has it been having Mark Vesey there?
It has been great to have another voice in this area. We still are minus one more. The way we submitted our maps, depending on the population and the census, we should have had Mark Vesey and a Latino. In addition to the seat that I hold. We can't continue to battle for that. We have completed oral arguments in court. We are now waiting the ruling of that 3-judge federal panel in San Antonio to see if we can get Latino representation in this area, as well as 2 African Americans in the Dallas-Fort Worth, North Texas area. I must tell you that prior to Mark Vesey, most casework and almost all issues that minorities had, no matter whether they were Latino, whether they were from the Middle East or from anywhere, any new citizens coming from outside the country, or African Americans right here in the country, the casework fell to my office. We didn't turn it away. We tried to do it, but it's a very heavy load. When you're doing casework from Amarillo to Austin, we're looking at about 5 to 10 million people that come because they don't feel there's any other place for them to go. And so to have some relief would be just great. To have a Latino person in this North Texas area that cares about other Latinos and other people would be great as well.
Now, what about the funding for schools in the state of Texas? Do you think across this nation, do you think we should have a pre-K funded nationwide for all children? How do you think that should be done?
Well, I think it's important. Early intervention with education with young people is very, very important. We've seen the outcomes of young people who've had access to early childhood education. Preschool do much better when they start to school. We also find that young people who do not have access to preschool normally go all the way through high school without ever being ready to do anything beyond that time. Right now, Dallas Independent School District is graduating students in the very high percentages that are not college ready. That hurts our young people. It disturbs us when it comes to how far they can achieve in the education families of courses to be productive citizens. The improvement in education quality has to start early, and I hope all parents will demand that their children get an early positive beginning to be ready for school so they can keep up and stay up with the different levels of achievement throughout the grades in high school.
Could you tell us what committees you serve on? Because I heard something there. Could you tell us the committee? Are you on some type of science committee?
I serve on science, space, and technology, and emphasize strong interest in what we call STEM courses. That is science, technology, engineering, and math. Now, that does not mean that you have to major in those courses, but it does mean that any subject that you can be very successful in, you have to achieve in those areas. Those are the careers, however, that are dominating the future needs. To be in science or to have a strong background in science, you can do anything you want to do. Choose any area of study you'd like to. It could be medicine, it could be nursing, It could be teaching. It can be a number of ways that you can go if you have a strong background. If you know anything about chemistry or anything about physics, it gives you a stronger background for studying other difficult courses. And it's achievable. Every young person can achieve it when they're given the opportunity and give themselves time and concentrate and focus on what they'd like to learn. Technology dominates the day. Practically everything we do, we use some form of technology, and it's constantly being upgraded to the next level on a daily basis. So the orientation to technology at a very early age is very important. Engineering is the profession that makes all the rest of it work. And so with a good introduction to engineering areas, you have a good introduction to practically any other profession you choose. And, of course, math is the same thing. If you have a good sense of algebra or other courses, algebra is a complex course, but a very important course to any course, anything you major in higher education. Or if you don't even go to higher education, you go to the community college level, go to the vocational training levels. It is important to have a good background. So when we emphasize STEM education, we're talking about a good, sound, basic knowledge of the basis for all of the courses that you can take in all the professions at which you can choose.
Do you believe that Algebra 2 should be compulsory for a high school student to get a diploma?
Well, now, I'm not an educator, and I cannot say that. But what I can tell you is that algebra is spread throughout any career, any that you choose, or most reasonable thinking for even doing household chores, you can count on some algebra background.
Well, it seems like there are a lot of districts that are moving towards that situation where Algebra 2 will have to be compulsory in order to get a high school diploma. But when we go back and look at what's happening from, let's say, the 50s, mid-50s on, and what's happening in 2014, or what started basically really rallying in 2010, do you feel like that our rights are just being dissolved as we sit by and watch? Or what is it? Are we fighting hard enough? How do you see what's going on? We have so many police shootings. We have things that are going on in our community that we thought we had risen above. How do you see America going right now?
Well, of course, America is determined by the strength of its voters. When we vote heavily, we elect people who are more sensitive to the needs of others. When we do not vote heavily, we elect people who are not necessarily interested in the rights and needs of others. And that's essentially what has happened to us. It's really not a way in which we can get out of the responsibility of choosing who our decision makers are. It all comes back to voting. If we go to the polls and vote for those people that will have to make those rules that will be more amenable to our survival and to fairness and justice, then we can see it. When we fail to do that, when we fail to vote, we also see that result, and that's what we're dealing with now from the national elections of 2010.
I'll tell you what, Congresswoman Johnson, my lines have been jammed ever since I've been on air. People want to ask you some questions, just want to talk to you. Let's go to line one and say good morning to Bernice. All right, let's take Bernice's call. Good morning, Bernice, you there?
Good morning, and good morning, Congresswoman Johnson. I'm glad you came today. I have a couple of questions. I love our community, and I love this man right here who's out there being the voice of the people, Brother and Pastor Barnett. I have a couple of questions, and I'm going to kind of ask you general questions, but I'd like to know, what bills have you sponsored or co-sponsored in regarding to economic empowerment for our communities. I see a lot of discrepancies where people of color, especially black people, that don't have access in those areas when it comes to small businesses like the other communities. And I just see that there's a deliberate pushback to keep people of color, black people, from having any type of real businesses set up within the communities and be a participant in the global market. Can you, I just asked one of the questions, and the second question...
May I answer that before you go further?
Okay.
There are many bills that were on the books when I went to Congress, and there are additional bills now that offer opportunities, and we have conferences on a regular basis trying to get the information out as to how access to markets can be. There are many opportunities right here prior to my going to Congress that I set up through state legislation, the business incubator down at the Bill D. Priest Center on Corinth. And so there are many, many opportunities and small business seminars that we have on a monthly basis trying to make sure that the information is out there. Now, what we cannot do is make the loans for the persons. We cannot buy the properties for the persons. In order to develop properties, you got to have ownership of it or have access to it. You have to have enough ability to make loans, to qualify for loans. If you need to get money, if you have your own money, you can develop without it. If you do need to get money, there are qualifications that lending institutions do have to be met. I think there are a number of successful entrepreneurs in the community that are attempting to do what they can little by little. And I see a difference, and I'm sorry that you don't see any. If you have any particular case that you'd like us to be of assistance to, just send them to my office. It's 3102 Maple in Suite 600.
Okay. Now, I understand you said there's like a trickle down effect of certain people, but I feel like...
No, I have not. I did not say there was a trickle down to certain people at all.
No, I'm saying it. I'm saying the reason why I'm saying it out of respect to you, I just see like how come when I'm driving through the community like in Oak Cliff, you see more Latino businesses flourishing, and it seems like our people, we have to jump through so many loops, and there's so many blockages, and our credit ain't this, and our housing is this, and it just seems like there's a disconnect there. And I feel like as an elected official, I feel like if you would be more in the community, more present, where people have access to you, not just by telephone and not just through, but just talk to you, have like town meetings, real town meetings, not telephone, but real town meetings where people can talk to you and address some of these issues. We may see some improvement, but just to have conferences, that's not going to help pay bills. We need more than that. We need,
you know what? My town hall meetings will not help pay bills as well. The time you're speaking about. Let me try to.
I tell you what. I'm up against.
Let me try to explain this.
I'm up against a short break. Could I take a break? All righty. And we'll be right back. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. All right, we're back on Church Information Open Forum. Your special guest this morning is United States Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson. Let's go to line 2 and say good morning to Minister.
May I respond to this lady's comment just before we go to another one?
Okay, yes.
Let me say that some people don't realize that I serve in the U.S. Congress, who meets in Washington Monday through Friday. I try to get home every weekend. I have an office that's open every day and staff available. There is no way that I can have a town hall meeting that covers the 700,000 people other than to do it by telephone, where I have as many as 60 and 70,000 people listening. There's no way that would appear anywhere that many people would show up. I've tried that. Doing town hall meetings at 8, 10, 12, 2, 4, and 6, I don't see more than 25 to 30 people. However, no problems are normally solved by just sitting and talking to people. You have to work the system. You have to have access to the information. If we can see other minorities opening businesses in our community, there's nothing that holds us back from doing that. You just have to follow the same rules, give it the same effort, and there are huge numbers of African-American businesses that seem to be doing pretty well. Every business that we see in our community is not going to be owned by an African-American. Never has been, never will be, but we see more now than we ever have. We stand ready to be of assistance. We cannot open them for you. I don't have the means to make sure you get the money. I do have the means to make sure the doors are open.
All righty. Thank you. All right, let's go to line number 2 and say good morning to Minister Watts. Minister Watts. Yes, go right ahead. You're on with Congresswoman Johnson.
Okay.
Please turn your radio down.
Can you hear me?
Okay, now. All right.
Yeah. I had called just before she came on, and what I was going to address had something to do with the Ebola disease. And but first, good morning to both of you, Denise Johnson and Reverend Barnett. You're doing a heck of a job, and Denise Johnson has to go off to both of you. But I just wanted to say about this Ebola thing is that it seems like I thought the army was meant to fight wars and not to go out and try to fight disease. And I think that we, need to fight ISIS more so than this thing. I mean, because that's what we have an army for, and they killing Christians right here in America, and that's what my concern is. I mean, they want to send our troops to go and fight disease so they can come back with some disease because I don't care how they try to cover it up.
We'll get to come for the sake of time because all of our lines are jammed.
Yes, sir.
Let Congresswoman Johnson, would you comment on ISIS and Ebola that's happening here? What do you think about that situation?
Well, I think that the Ebola situation where the man came from Nigeria with the disease has been pretty much, we have about 8 days to go to see whether he's contaminated anyone else. Right now, there are no symptoms in the people that he had contact with, so that could be a non-issue for this country. However, when there are major diseases in other countries, there's no guarantee that they will not come to this country. And also because we have an interest in the welfare of people throughout the world, I think we do have a responsibility to help to quell it when we can. The other thing is that some people don't equate is that with the global warming that we're experiencing that some don't acknowledge, this bacteria will not stay in one area, and it is confined to an area. We have to try to fight it there. Educating people, we have to understand that the African countries where it's very prevalent right now do not have the same kind of conveniences that we have. They do not have the same type of running water that we have.
Right.
And so it's easier to transmit the bacteria from one person to another. When we send military people, it is to help clean up. It is to help teach people how to care for themselves, how not to transmit it from one person to another, because it will not be confined in one place. Because with global warming, I learned back in the 1998 or 9 by attending a world conference in The Hague in Denmark that because of the warming, bacteria can travel through the air and through the atmosphere from one country to another. because when the freezing has been pretty much eliminated, then bacteria will survive. So we can't just assume that a disease will stay confined to one place in the world. Eventually, it will move about. Mm-hmm. So it's better to try to contain it where it is and try to teach people how to survive in those environments without it spreading from one place to another. Right now, it's in West Africa, and as I said earlier, they don't have the same type of running water. Right. You know, one bottle of bleach can cure that bacteria if it's used correctly. To clean with in the bathrooms where it's shared, to change washcloths and towels so that one person or the other is not sharing it, to wash dishes thoroughly. It could be contained, but you don't know that until you're taught.
You're a nurse by profession, aren't you?
I'm a nurse, yes.
All right. Now, how important is washing your hands? Let me just ask something simple.
Washing your hands is very important. That's how we spread the flu. That's how we spread practically every communicable disease that's out there. It's when we do not wash our hands when we go to the bathroom, when we do not wash our hands when we shake hands with a lot of people or put our hands on items that we don't know exactly what's there. Washing hands is the number one healthcare issue.
Wow. All right. 972-647-1893. Let's go to Miss. Give me line 2 and bring on Miss Juanita Wallace, President of Dallas Branch NAACP. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine. Go right ahead. You're on with Congresswoman Johnson. All right.
Oh, wonderful. I'm looking at it. I heard everything she said, and it's absolutely important for us to follow those guidelines, even here in the United States, so we can avoid certain spreading of viruses. But I'm calling in today because I wanted to talk to the listening audience from a humanitarian effort. The Dallas NAACP and a grassroots group called Faith Friday are reaching out to the greater community to help the family of Mr. Duncan, the African who died on U.S. soil with Ebola. Now, Mr. Duncan never had a fighting chance in our estimation because time was wasted when he was sent back home. That's been our discussion around that. But we must show our humanitarian spirit for the lives of his families and the survivors, and we're appealing to you to help Mr. Duncan's family by bringing unused personal items and toys for the children to my office October the 14th, which is Tuesday, between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. Now, my office is at 1617 Panama Avenue. That's right behind St. Philip's. As a matter of fact, it's one of St. Philip's buildings. It's right behind it. That is the office that I've used since I've been president of the Dallas Branch NAACP.
All right.
So we're asking people to please, unused personal items, whatever it is God lays on your heart to do, we ask you to do that. Because while Mr. Duncan has gone, a transition, I should say, we still have to look out for the people that's left behind. And we know that sometimes used items are not necessarily the best. So if you could bring unused personal items to 1617 Panama Avenue.
Okay. We thank you.
75215. Thank you very much.
We thank you. All right. All right. 972-647-1893. Let's go to line 3 and say good morning to Reggie. Reggie, you're on with Congresswoman Johnson.
Yes. Good morning, Dr. Barnett, and good morning to you, Congresswoman Johnson.
Good morning.
I have a very serious issue that I wanted to address with you that I shared with Rod Gibbons last week. It's the fact that with domestic violence and child abuse being an issue now in today's headlines, I shared with him how I was wrongfully accused in 2 separate incidents where women had used the police for revenge instead of trying to properly enforce the law. I have been, like I said, I was wrongfully accused and then I was acquitted, but yet still I'm unable to find work because of this, and I filed a federal lawsuit against the police department and they have stonewalled it at best. Recently, as I shared with Barnett, the police claiming that since I had gone to internal affairs twice about the situation, well, actually 4 times, they keep coming up with new rules on how to skirt prosecuting their own officers for abusing their authority, because that's one of my other main contentions. There's been 5 articles of the constitutional amendment that's been violated. And I've been trying to get the public and everybody else educated and knowing what the rights are and how things are going on, but I definitely like your input on what can we do to try to, not just root out domestic violence and everything, but we also need to root out those that abuse the laws. And then we definitely need our representatives and our politicians and everything here to take these matters seriously and just quit sweeping them up under the rug.
All right, Congresswoman.
Well, the only thing I can tell you that we'll be speaking about has to be, I guess, handled on an individual basis. It is clear that we do have a major problem with domestic violence. As a matter of fact, the city of Dallas is one of the leading cities in the nation with the amount of cases that have been reported. And I know the mayor has taken leadership in trying to get more education and communication concerning that. Now, how the law enforcement people handle individual cases, I cannot tell you I have any expertise in it. I feel, however, that to pursue what is felt to be wrongdoing is certainly something that the Constitution provides you to do, and it sounds as if you have attempted to do that. I don't know who your attorney is, but I think that is probably the wisest way to go. There are also some avenues of which you can make complaints about the police department, I think, to a police board or something like that. That's handled by the local government. But I believe that information could be readily available as to the procedure for getting a formal hearing or a formal retake on any abuse you feel that you suffered from the police.
All right. We thank you for your call. 972-647-1893 is the number to call. 972-647-1893. Let's go to line 2 and say good morning to Miss Penny Petrie. All righty. Good morning, Penny.
Good morning, Reverend Barnett. How are you this morning?
Fine. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm blessed and highly favored.
Oh, yeah.
Look, I want to take an opportunity to thank the Congresswoman for being ahead of the curve and giving our youth, our future, a gift through STEM, development, science, technology. I don't think we understand when callers call in and suggest that there's not enough development economically. She's absolutely right, but that works 2 hands. And what she has done and making sure legislatively and putting her money and her mouth and her time is to secure future for it. We have to be prepared to take on the position that's going to be required and expected in the future. And let's face it, eligible? Are you kidding me? There's tricks, there's that, there's all kind of stuff out there that we weren't prepared for as entrepreneurs and business people in the past. She is putting in position and has made it her life's work.
All righty. We thank you because this is the reason why I brought it up, because that is resources that our young people really need to tap into and not just try to take the easy courses to get through. Yeah. All right, Congresswoman Johnson. Correct. Somebody's radio. Hello? I'm hearing a radio.
There's some kind of interference. I don't know what that is.
Is it not? Yeah, go right ahead. Let's see.
I just wanted to say that I have tried to be open, and I have tried to get the information spread around the country on the focus on the appropriate and proper and useful education for the future. I believe that when our young people focus on the content of these courses that lend itself to a good background to any profession that one wants to choose, they would be much more ready to tackle whatever. If you know math well, you can know business principles pretty well because you know how to count money, you know how to make budgets, and that's what's necessary to be successful in any type of entrepreneurship. And you're supposed to have a good background, and the opportunity is there for those big backgrounds to be while you're in high school. But it does take focus. Young people really do have to focus on these courses. You cannot expect that you can automatically learn it. You got to focus on it because it'll take away some of the time that you spend maybe doing the leisure. But it's worth it as an investment in the future.
Definitely so. All right, 972-647-1893. Let's go to Concerned Sister on line 1.
Hello, Pastor Barnett.
Good morning. How are you?
And good morning, Congressman Eddie Bernice Johnson.
All righty.
Good morning. I want to say Ephesians 6:10 said we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but spiritual wicked powers in high places. And I want to say that I'm going to vote.
Thank you.
I was born in 1950, and if we don't vote, all our rights can be taken away. And a citizen of the United States, born here, or whether you weren't born here and you're here, it's your right to vote. So we should vote no matter what, and God will do the rest. Ms. Johnson, I appreciate everything that you did to help everybody and what was right. It was God that kept you where you are and where you were. As Congressman, when your time is up, as long as you did what's right, did what you could for everybody, then you should feel good about yourself and give God all the glory. Now, we put too much confidence in man, and we in a house divided will not stand. And I want to ask you this: the staff of the president, those that are saved, do they pray before they get with our president personally, individuals that believe in God? And if they don't, they need to, because some things he's doing is good, and nobody's perfect but God. And some things he might be making a mistake. And not only him, but the Republican parties, they all need to come together. And if there's any believers of God in there, they need to start praying, taking prayer out to schools and everywhere else. So I'm just saying that we need to put our confidence in God and not in man, and that it's for everybody.
Concerned sister, I'm up against a short break, and we'll ask her to answer that right after we come off a break. All right. We'll be back in one moment. All right, we're back on Church Information and Open Forum. I'm Marion Barnett, your host, and our special guest this morning is Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson. She's answering your questions and comments. All righty, let's go to Joe on line 3. Good morning, Joe.
Hey, Reverend Burnett, how you doing?
Yeah, fine. You're on with Congresswoman Johnson.
Fine. How you doing, Congresswoman Johnson?
Fine. Good morning.
Okay, but you're up for election this year, are you not?
Yes, I am. Every other year.
Okay, I thought that you were. Okay, all right. I want to make sure that I got my vote lined up for you. Isn't that nice?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am. Look, question I have, with the Ebola situation that we had here with the Mr. Duncan's contracting and passing away, I think it's so pointedly stated by Reverend Barnett and those informed people that it's not a crisis as the larger media leads us to believe. More people die in America from the flu every year than the Ebola. But my question is, we saw the problem that the Haitians had when they was trying to escape or things were going on back in the country, political and otherwise. How do you think this particular case, with all the negative media that it has got, is going to impact Africans being able to immigrate to America?
Good question. Wow.
Well, it is a good question. Let me first say that we've only had one case in this country, and that person probably contracted it in his native country in Liberia, and brought it with him as he came. We think that even the contact that he had might be safe. There's been no symptoms so far. They've been isolated now. They're supposed to be only 21 days. I think there are 8 days left.
Mm-hmm.
So far, there are no symptoms. If they come out symptom-free, I think we can safely say that does not exist in this country. What I can say that our conditions here are so much different than those in Africa. And yes, we do die more of flu than because any death we had of flu, the number is more than one, makes it more than one for Ebola. It is that kind of virus that we have to be careful about. It's already on this continent.
Mm-hmm.
The Ebola virus so far has not been on this continent in the United States but one time, and that's this particular case. Whether it was handled correctly is yet to be determined.
Mm-hmm.
When he went to the hospital the first time, I don't know what the conversation was between he and the healthcare people that he was in contact with, but he clearly must have symptoms at that time. He clearly must have had symptoms before he was to Liberia that he probably did not admit to in filling out the proper documents to leave the country. And so to a large degree, that responsibility rested with him. However, it did rest with the hospital when he got there to clearly get an understanding as to his symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that happened or not is still not clear. I'm not so sure that we'll know since he is dead now.
If I could but
yes.
There was a big ball drop in there. I was just sending him home, telling him to take some Tylenol and some other recommendation, 103-degree temperature. I mean, they got to own that.
I think you're right. I have not, I've heard that on the news. I have not yet had access to any records. I have not yet talked to any communicable disease specialist about it. I'm not in a position to make a final statement on it, but I will say that anybody that had a 103-degree temperature, it seemed to me that if they had not diagnosed what it was, he probably was hospitalized. I wish I knew all those details. I'm not sure there's anyone who really knows all those details right now. I have been in touch with practically everybody related to it except the persons that he met with in that emergency room.
All right.
Thank you very much. I know you're on topic.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That clears the line, 972-647-193, 972-647-1893. Let's go to line 2 and say good morning to Ike. All righty. Good morning, Ike.
Hey, good morning, Reverend Barnett, and good morning, Congresswoman Johnson.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, my question was, earlier on the show, you was talking about pre-K, and I was concerned about the pre-K funding, and I don't know what the federal stipulations are, but in Texas, I mean, to qualify for pre-K, you got to have a part-time understanding the English language, have a parent in the military, be homeless, or qualify for free lunch or reduced lunch prices. So, I mean, it's federal government money that the president has, the president has really been pushing pre-K, and everybody's talking about how good it is for all the kids. And I'm not understanding it was just a Texas thing, but why I feel like there's so much of the population being disallowed if it's so good, because right here in Dallas, they're going to hire 25 more specialists to help set these teachers up with these classes. And I feel like people like me who, don't make a bunch of money, but I'm not qualifying for free lunch, my kid's going to get left out of my grandkids.
Ike, are you saying that pre-K is only for special groups in Texas? All children can't go to pre-K?
Well, in Texas,
public schools?
Well, in Texas, the way it appears to me is like for them to go to pre-K, it's like some kind of secondary welfare system. You on welfare, you underprivileged instead of. But if it's going to help all the kids, and we need to get all our kids up to speed, why is it just a certain group that these Texas stipulations have. So, people that make, say, $35,000 a year, their kids don't qualify. I'm not understanding that. Can you elaborate on that? Somebody explain something to me?
All right.
Well, let me say that the education is left to the states and local government. The federal government really has nothing in the Constitution that gives it the responsibility of the federal government. There are certain programs that are funded by the federal government that have to be requested, and qualifications and standards have to be met for that federal money to flow, but they're not routine dollars for routine classwork. That's all. You have a local governance, which is your school board. You have a state governance, which is your state board of education, that really regulate the flow of dollars and how they're spent. That is not done by the federal government. I cannot tell you, because I have not studied it that closely, what the most recent policies are as it relates to the guidelines here. What I can tell you is that when I was in the State House over 30 years ago, I passed a law that made free breakfast and free lunch available to all students by mandatory, as long as there were 10% of the people in that school eligible, for as long as the federal government had dollars to fund it. I think that is still the law, especially for breakfast. But that was when I was at state level, and I have gotten feedback that it has worked, because when young people come to school without food, their attention span is short. They don't learn as readily, and that having that breakfast available has worked. Now, when I learned several years ago that Dallas was one of the 10 top cities with hungry children, I started a hunger summit that brought all of the sources of food available together to coordinate so that young people could have access to food. We went from having 12,000 free breakfasts to 52,000 in less than a year. And now we just had another summit meeting, and I had asked the superintendent to see that the food be placed in the classrooms so that the children wouldn't have to go a certain place and ask for it. That has happened. And so to the extent of which I can be of help from the federal end, I am trying to do that. But as far as the educational curricula and the various direct teaching, that's not federal government responsibility. That is local and state. And so I would suggest that you be in touch with some of the school board members or some of the school administrators to check that out.
All righty. Thank you, Ike. Thank you. All right, 972-647-1893. Let's go to line one and say good morning to Eddie. All righty. Good morning, Eddie. You're on with Congresswoman Johnson.
Good morning, Reverend and Congressman Johnson. We thank you for your eloquent service.
Good morning.
I met you in the parking lot of one day, and I recognize you, and I think you're doing a wonderful work. I wanted to ask, with your contacts nationally and internationally, there's a great cooperative system in this country that works very well for many businesses. And I wonder if you could institute something like that in Congress, whereby people of integrity, such as yourself, could lead an economic revival and just connect it throughout the nation with us so-called African Americans.
I'm not sure I understand what you're requesting.
Cooperatives, cooperatives, businesses under the cooperative system. Is there any way perhaps you could introduce a bill, well, not a bill, but some, once again, person with integrity to administer funds and have funds collected so we as black people in this nation can, just rise up economically, because it isn't funny if you don't have any money. And that's one of the biggest things. We have to be able to, educate ourselves. And all of these things take money. Just it seems that all of us, a lot of black people have a lot of money. But there's no unity, not even many black banks in this nation. Remember, there used to be black banks in Washington, D.C. I don't know if one, certainly not in Dallas area. but some program, somebody who could administer something of that nature.
Congresswoman Johnson?
I really wish I understood what you were talking about.
I think he's saying some type of, if I'm getting it right, lending institution, some type of way to bring blacks, African Americans, and we do have a lot of African Americans that have a whole lot of money. Some way they could come together, maybe come up with a lending institution, something. I think T.D. Jemison tried to do with the National Baptist Convention USA a few years ago, that other African Americans that's qualified, I'm sure he's talking about, he's a very intelligent caller, would be able to tap into and get loans and different things like that to advance our.
Well, let me just say that we've had a black bank here, and one of the reasons why it closed is because people make loans and never pay the money back. No matter where you make money available, if they're loans, they have to be paid back. We're going through a crisis right now with our historically black colleges because students get loans and never pay the money back, and it's about to close them. We've had black banks all over the country, and most of the reasons why they've closed is because they make loans and the money never comes back in. You cannot expect people to give the money out without it having a responsibility for coming back. And so I don't know whether there would be any legislation that could mandate someone give money to somebody else for them to do business. Any money
no, I'm not talking
out
about hooking up with Caesar. I'm talking some individuals. But I thank you for your answer. It's just a question out there. I appreciate your attendance.
All right. Let's go to Cecil on line 2. All righty. All right. Good morning, Cecil.
Good morning.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say good morning to you and to Eddie Bernice Johnson.
Good morning.
One of our biggest problems is we can't come together as black people and trust each other, to put our money together like the Hispanic people do. That's what they do. They put their money together and work with each other. We can't do that. That's our biggest problem. We had businesses in the past, and, we lost them. For whatever reason, I don't know. But we don't have the trust in each other to put our money together and help each other out. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's all I want to say.
All right, thank you. Congresswoman Johnson, we got our job line coming, but we like to thank you for you being on the program, and thank you for answering a lot of questions. And anytime you want to come on and talk with my audience, you always should feel free. All righty?
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity, and I stay ready to answer any questions. I have an office that's open every day, all day, and the number is 214-922-8885, and that's locally. Of course, I have an office in Washington, and I must say that I'm there almost more than I'm here, but I do come home every weekend and available. Right now we're out because election. I'm working for my own reelection, but also I am working to try to make sure we keep the Senate. So I'm working in Louisiana, Arkansas, Georgia, and North Carolina, trying to make sure that those Democratic candidates can win reelection.
I know you don't have a crystal ball before you, but let me ask you something. It's hypothetical. If the Democrats were to lose the Senate, do you think they would impeach the president?
I'm not surprised, because I think if they had the votes, they'd do it now. Of course, it would be done in the House if they could. Mm-hmm. So I just hate to even entertain the thought of losing the House and the Senate at the same time while we have this particular president. So that's why I will give it all I can, not only to make sure that I get reelected, but also to make sure that these senators get reelected, because even if I'm not, I want to make sure we save that Senate.
All righty. Okay. Thank you, Congresswoman
Thank
Johnson.
You very much.
You have a good day. All right, I tell you what, bring on Mr. Greg Barber in our SAT job line. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, Reverend Barnett.
I'm sure glad you got in, man. We were worried. How you're going to be able to get in here. All righty. Are there any jobs out there?
There are some jobs out here this morning on SAT Job Line, brought to you every Saturday morning during church information and open forum here on Knon 89.3, the voice of the people. This morning on the job line, we have Walters Kluwers is looking for customer service representative. The number for inquiry is 888-495-4722. Pardon me. The number for inquiry is 888-495-4772. Let me repeat that. Walters Kluwers is looking for customer service representatives. Asking you to apply online. The number for inquiry is 888-495-4772. Knon is looking for customer service representatives. Asking you to apply online at www.hrapply.com/Knon. That's K-A-M-A-N. Once again, Knon is looking for customer service representatives. Asking you to apply online at www.hrapply.com/Knon. K-A-M-A-N. City of Capel is looking for customer service representatives. That's you to apply online at www.capeltexas.gov. Or you can apply in person at Human Resources Department, 255 Parkway Boulevard, Capel, Texas. Number for inquiry is 972-304-3699. Once again, you have 3 ways to apply. Online, www.capel.gov. In person, Human Resources Department, 255 Parkway Boulevard, Capel, Texas. Hold the phone, 972-304-3699.
I thank you, Greg, but I brought you on a little too late this morning, but we'll try to make it up next week, give you extra time. All righty?
All right.
All right, thank you. Thank all of you for listening. Thank all of you for calling. And Senior Pastor Heavenly Joy Church, you're located at Bruton and Masters. Service again at 11 o'clock. Come by and see us. Have a great time enjoying the Lord with us. Got to get out here and got to run. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye-bye.
KNON 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to KNON.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.